Hi, and welcome to the MyConsultant.ca Show. I'm Sarah Ostapchuk,
And I'm Adrienne Quijano.
and we're here to help you with the Canadian immigration process. This show is designed to be a brief way to inform you on Canadian immigration news headlines, immigration policy and program concepts, and introduce you to industry experts.
Today's show is going to include the new Ukrainian immigration pathway, latest express entry draws, anti-fraud tips for immigrants, and changes to the BC PNP.
The Canada-Ukraine Authorization for Emergency Travel, or CUAET, is the promised temporary immigration pathway for displaced Ukrainians that was announced 2 weeks prior by Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada, the IRCC. The pathway allows for Ukrainians to stay in Canada for up to 3 years. Applicants from overseas need to apply for a visitor's visa and are encouraged to also apply for a 3-year work permit. Elementary and high school students can enroll as soon as they can enter Canada, and post-secondary students can apply for a study permit once they are in Canada. Single journey travel documents are being issued on a case-by-case basis for Ukrainians without passports, and fees for these applications are being waived, as are COVID-19 vaccination requirements for Ukrainians, but not any other health and safety requirements. The Government of Canada is also encouraging employers to post openings on the Job Bank's Jobs for Ukrainians website.
So what's really interesting is that I've actually used the job bank from the Canadian government. And I just think it's really interesting that they're adding a web page specifically for folks who are coming into the country. I think that's really useful.
I agree. When I'm, in that stage of my life where I'm job hunting, I always frequent the Government of Canada Job Bank. Great website. Yeah, there's lots of stuff up there.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a good resource for Ukrainians coming into the country.
Right. I guess it's just a good resource for anyone starting their career in any sense of the word, whether or not they're coming in from a different country or starting out of school. I guess it's like a one-stop shop basically for available jobs in our country.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What I really liked was that the government was very timely. They said 2 weeks. It's been 2 weeks, and here's the
Yeah.
pathway. So that's really great. Really great.
Actually meeting deadlines. That's
Yes,
nice.
that's always good.
Yeah. The Express Entry system is a method of applying for a Provincial Nominee Program, or PNP. About every 2 weeks, the federal government holds a draw, and a number of candidates in the Express Entry pool are selected, and therefore invited to apply for permanent residency through a PNP. Candidates are picked based on their ranking in the pool using a points-based system. Express Entry draw number 217 took place on March 2nd, 2022, and 1,047 invites were sent out, with the lowest ranked candidate having a score of 761. The Express Entry draw number 218 took place on March 16th, 2022. 924 invitations were sent to the applicants, with the lowest ranked candidate accepted having a score of 754. You'll be speaking more about PNPs later this week, right, Sarah?
Yes, we actually touched on this as a news item, the BC PNP updates. I think you mentioned it last week, but it actually is deserving of more time, especially because I think a lot of our viewers are really interested in what's going on in the PNP world, because Express Entry is actually not exclusively for the Provincial Nominee Program. It's actually for several other pathways, but the government for the last at least year, longer, I think, mostly through COVID, has been exclusively focusing on PNPs, which is why it's such a big deal right now to understand what's going on.
Right. So what other pathways are included then?
I think there's like business related pathways. I haven't had to learn much about it because there hasn't been a lot of news
Right.
in those pathways. But yeah, we should share on that later when they eventually send invitations
Pop
to
up.
people
Yeah.
applying
That's
to them.
interesting.
Yeah.
Later on, I'll also be talking about tips for working with immigration consultants, specifically looking at anti-fraud. And first of all, we're going to go to Sarah's segment.
Continuing with our PNP conversation, we're going to go in depth into the changes to the BC PNP. Before we do that, a little refresher on what PNPs are. So PNP stands for Provincial Nominee Program, and they're for immigrants seeking permanent residence in Canada who want to live in a specific province and have applicable skills for jobs that are in demand in that province. Nominee means that the province must select you in order to pursue this method of permanent residency. If you are nominated, you can send your application to the IRCC, who has the final say. Let's discuss a little bit about British Columbia as a province. British Columbia, or BC, is located on the westernmost coast of Canada, with Vancouver as its capital. Because of its proximity to the ocean, weather in Vancouver doesn't typically get colder than -4 degrees Celsius or hotter than 23 degrees Celsius. It can also be cloudy and rainy for a lot of the year. The population of British Columbia is 5 million, and the population of Vancouver is 675,000. The BC PNP is jointly administered by the federal government and BC's provincial government. Their strategic priorities and initiatives involves the province continuing to monitor and evaluate the BC PNP to ensure it is aligned with recovery efforts to support stronger, more resilient communities. This is where changes come into effect. The BC PNP is being updated in that they are focusing on the care economy because of labor shortages that are particularly bad in that area. This includes healthcare workers and early childhood educators. There is a critical need for both of these occupations in British Columbia. Though healthcare workers and ECEs, early childhood educators, are being prioritized, there is still a priority on tech occupations, and this has been going on for a little while now in British Columbia. There is a need for many different tech occupations to be filled, and this is actually a nationwide issue as well. Alberta's PNP also reflects needing tech-based skill sets from people coming into the country. So what occupations qualify you as a tech-experienced person? There is a wide variety of what is considered a tech occupation for BC PNP Tech. This includes telecommunication carriers managers, computer and information systems managers, managers for publishing, motion pictures, broadcasting, and the performing arts, civil engineers, electrical and electronics engineers, chemical engineers, computer programmers and interactive media developers, and user support technicians. The list goes on and on. If you are looking at the extensive list of BC PNP tech occupations, you may notice a trend. Things like audio and video recording technicians, or other technical and coordinating occupations in motion pictures, broadcasting, and the performing arts, they all point to film and the film industry. What a lot of people don't know is that British Columbia has a very booming film industry. Many shows have been filmed in British Columbia. It is the set for a lot of different international TV series as well. And there are a lot of jobs in this field. So if that's something that interests you or something that you have skills in, definitely check out the BC PNP tech occupations online. PNPs are extremely important as a method to come to Canada. The federal government, through ExpressEntry, is focusing largely on them. So we will continue to update you when PNPs change or focus on new occupations. Now let's turn to Adrian for a little segment on the CICC and making sure that your immigration consultant is licensed.
Hi, and thank you for joining me this week. Today, we'll be taking a look at the CICC's top 20 tips to prevent immigration fraud. First, we'll be taking a look at titles and diplomas. The first tip is to check your immigration consultant's file. Second, remember that a diploma alone is not enough. Next, we're going to be looking at signatures and forms. Their third tip is to always sign a service agreement. Fourth, ensure the service agreement is signed by you and your immigration consultant. Fifth, sign a use of representative form, or an IM5476. Sixth, do not sign a blank form or a form containing false information. And 7, get a copy of all forms you have signed. Next, we're going to be looking at services and payment. Their 8th tip is to avoid paying in cash. 9th, obtain invoices and receipts for all payments. Number 10 is to ensure that your agreement is only for immigration services, not a recruitment or job placement. 11, be careful if a travel agent, educational agent, or recruiter offers you an immigration services. Now on to guarantees. Number 12 is no one can guarantee you a specific processing time. 13, no one can guarantee you that a job and an immigration to Canada can be provided at the same time. 14, no one can guarantee you that your application will be approved. Then we'll look on to connections, which are the connections that your immigration consultant might possibly say that they have. Number 15 is that no one can influence the outcome of your immigration application. 16, always check that the person you are considering has been listed as active on the College of Immigration Consultants website. Number 17, do not engage with an immigration website that uses the college's corporate logo. 18, ensure the person that you are considering hiring has professional liability insurance. 19, the person that you are considering hiring should be able to answer your questions about immigration or the college's code of professional conduct. As a top tip, I would check out the college's code of professional conduct online. You can find that along with the public register if you look up the Immigration Consultant of Canada's college. And finally, we're moving on to ethics. Number 20 is that you should not lie on your immigration application, even if you are encouraged to. I hope these tips have been helpful for you. Now on to Sarah for the wrap-up.
That was a really informative segment on how to avoid immigration fraud. So thank you for that, Adrian. And speaking of, the anti-fraud month of March is almost over.
Yeah, this year's going by so fast. April's around the corner.
April is almost here, which in Canada can mean so many different things for weather. It can really mean anything.
That's true. You're right. We have a wide spectrum of what it means to be April.
Yes, exactly.
It's some time that I spent in Vancouver. It was overcast the whole week, but it was quite warm. And it was interesting. I saw palm trees there, which was, I didn't even think, I didn't even think were possible to have in Canada.
No, I didn't know we had palm trees.
Right?
Well, there
I think
you go.
being from Ontario, because I've grown up, born and raised in Ontario, just growing up here with all the snow and, when we've had negative 40-degree weather.
Oh,
yeah. Going somewhere in Canada that has palm trees all year long. Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's Canada for you.
That's Canada for
we're
you.
like the second largest country. We span a lot of different time zones and a lot of different climates, which is interesting, which is why PNPs can be so interesting because, don't just randomly select a province because they're all very different climates, different cultures because of that. And anyway, yeah.
Well, that's all for today. Thank you for joining us this week. Be sure to click the bell icon and subscribe to the My Consultant channel. For more information about the topics covered in this show, please visit MyConsultant.ca, where you can contact an authorized immigration and citizenship consultant. I'm Adrian Quijano.
And I'm Sarah Ostapchuk.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye.